Crystia!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. Today's a little bit different of a video because it's not necessarily a news article, but a very widespread video that has recently dropped from good friend of the channel, Dr. Jordan Peterson, talking about what needs to happen with Justin Trudeau's Team Canada approach, and why Alberta is in a significant position, and one that really begs to ask the question of what does Jordan Peterson know that we don't? I know when I say that recently, and he mentions in this video that, of course, he was down at Mar-a-Lago alongside Kevin O'Leary, Danielle Smith, Donald Trump, all talking about, well, the future of not only America, but probably the future of Canada, I would assume. Again, I'm only speaking out of my own personal opinion. I haven't spoken to any of these folks. I haven't spoken to Danielle. I haven't spoken to Dr. Peterson since that meeting. So again, I'm just making my own speculation that if they were sitting around talking, my guess is that if they were in a group, these discussions possibly came up at one point. That being said, this video is very insightful. I will leave a link down below in the description to go check it out. It's about a 25-minute video. I would encourage you all to go and check it out because in the video, Jordan Peterson's talking about the current landscape of Canada, how Mark Carney is devastatingly bad for Canada, and also what position he would put himself in if he were Danielle Smith, which again leads me to question, were there conversations going on at Mar-a-Lago that we don't already know about? And is this the future for Alberta? Because what Jordan Peterson's talking about is essentially what I've been warning about on this channel, that you're going to see this influx of Albertans with Justin Trudeau, Doug Ford, all other premiers now attacking Alberta, saying that we're not going to come to the plate, we're not going to back their trade war, we're not going to sacrifice our resources after being treated like Canada's redheaded stepchild for Justin Trudeau to prop himself up. You're going to see a growing concern of Albertans who start to question, with Mark Carney incoming as the Liberal leader, is there a future for Canada? Is this the time for Alberta to talk about separation? Is there a better deal to be had to make Alberta stronger, separate from Canada? Dr. Peterson gets in on that in this video clip. I gotta, again, for copyright reasons, we can show so much, and then we gotta discuss. I'm gonna cut in time to time here. But let's hear what he has to say, because a very insightful man. Very, very grateful to know a man like this. Let's hear what he has to say.
The most American of all Canadian provinces by widespread reputation and self-regard, Alberta is also the polity that Eastern Canada, particularly Quebec, relies on to survive while it pursues its disdainful socialist green agenda. This is the Quebec that is whined and manipulated so effectively for so many decades that its minority bilingual citizenry utterly dominates not only the perennially ruling Liberal Party, but the federal bureaucracy. That constitutes only two such unjust and unproductive advantages among many, by the way, and all that despite the Francophony's strong and lasting separatist leanings. This is the same Eastern Canada and Quebec that regards itself as entitled not only to the so-called transfer payments characterizing the Canadian social contract, much to the disadvantage of the resource-rich West, but that simultaneously assumes and trumpets a moral superiority to the people who earn that transferred money in a manner deeply reminiscent of that more generally assumed by Canadians with respect to Americans.
So he's got a good point here, because this is one thing that I've talked about to great extent. And a lot of people who watch this channel from Quebec often get mad and say, you're attacking Quebec. No, I'm attacking their government. I'm not attacking the people. Anybody who's pro-separatist, anybody who says, can you guys remember back to a time when Quebec had their referendum? And they were saying, we want to separate from Canada, but we still want tax dollars. We want to be our own country, but we still want money from Canada. That doesn't make any sense. You're either your own country or you're not. The power struggle, the straw man from Quebec. Again, when you look at our electoral system, when you look at the fact that a small pocket of Ontario and Western Quebec essentially decide who's in charge in our country every federal election, this is why we need electoral reform. The hypocrisy that comes from Quebec as they dump raw sewage into the St. Lawrence River by the barrel, like the tons, the megatons, while also saying it's not socially acceptable right now to discuss an Eastern pipeline. I've often said, and many viewers have said on this channel, that if you don't want to support a pipeline, you shouldn't be getting transfer payments. And I wholeheartedly agree. I feel like that structure needs to be completely overhauled. And this also presents a big problem when we're talking about the next sitting of a federal party in the House of Commons. Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party is sitting at a status point where they may be non-party status by the time the next federal election hits, alongside the NDP, propping up the Bloc to be the official opposition. How is Pierre Poilievre going to deal with a separatist party while trying to unlock Alberta's and Canada's potential for becoming an economic powerhouse?
The consequence? No business case for the trade deals or infrastructure projects necessary to supply a self-admittedly desperate Europe and Japan with cheap and reliable Alberta energy. No new, plentiful, and gratefully received pipelines running west to east in Canada. Abject economic dependence. In consequence, for Albertans and Canada itself, as we're now finding out, on the purchasing decisions of the mad MAGA Yanks to the south. And now, that same Alberta is being called upon to sacrifice its artificially and morally limited economy to fight off the looming tariffs of Donald J. Trump, the imposition of which should come as no surprise to anyone the least bit awake. We walked right into this, folks, and boy, we deserved it.
One thing he says here that I wholeheartedly agree with is that we deserved it. Again, this is go woke, go broke. We've known, the country has known, and if you're ignorant to it, oil and gas is a major part of Canada's GDP. When you have NDP leaders in Alberta who come in and completely cripple that industry, backed by Justin Trudeau taking office right around the time Rachel Notley was on her way out, it's a double whammy. It's a bunch of green movist globalists that want to essentially hammer down and ensure that better deals are done with overseas oil suppliers than by getting our own products to market, because it benefits them and their investments. Justin Trudeau, I don't know if anybody's aware of this, has a trust fund. He has inheritance from his father. Some of those investments are from overseas oil companies that stand to pad his pockets while shutting down Alberta's economy. This is the main reason that when you look at Trudeau Sr.'s hatred toward Alberta, as well as Justin Trudeau's, it's not because they don't like the people or the province. It's because it's good for their wallets. It's good for their business and their bank accounts. That's it. All politics roll back to money. Let's continue.
We felt good about ourselves all the way. And what is likely to result? Trump has offered Canada status as the 51st state. If we had a well-constituted country, this would have never happened. Or the suggestion would have been laughable. I see damn few people laughing, however, and more's the pity. A strong case can be made that such subordinate status would not at all be a good deal for the Great White North as a whole. For Alberta, however, and perhaps for the West as such, the situation is not so clear.
What he's going to touch on here and what he's talking about essentially is that earlier in the video, he makes a point to mention that he doesn't believe that Canada will become a 51st state. However, it is definitely attractive to an overgrowing amount of Canadian. I mean, we've seen it trending online. We've seen a lot of people talking about it. I see it in the comments all the time with people saying 51st state. Danielle Smith has a golden opportunity here, and Dr. Peterson's going to get into it here as to what the outcome could be. And again, this makes me question what discussions took place at Mar-a-Lago.
Here's what I might do, given that if I were in Premier Danielle Smith's shoes, or at least what I might threaten to do, taking a page from Trump's Art of the Deal book. because it's high time for the Albertans to play hardball. I might travel, say, to Mar-a-Lago, where I did, in fact, recently encounter that premier. I might have, well, there, a forthright, even blunt chat with Donald J., where I might say to him something like the following. Mr. President, my fellow Canadians have for decades compelled us to climb into bed with an 800-pound gorilla. That would be you, Mr. Trump. Now you've decided to consummate the deal, so to speak, and we've given you the upper hand on a silver platter, to mix metaphors terribly. While you're doing so, Canada is unlikely to become the 51st state, however, not even Alberta, as you may well know, sir. After all, you'd have to offer us something better than what has been put forward by our fellow Canadians. That would be the continued privilege and expense of subsidizing Quebec.
Before he gets into the remainder of that plan, this is the basis of this video. The video is titled, Canada Must Offer Alberta More Than Trump Could. Now, that again comes down to Danielle's negotiation. Now, of course, Peterson makes a very good remark here when he says it's time for Alberta to play hardball, not necessarily with Donald Trump, but with Canada as a whole. When you look at Justin Trudeau going down to Mar-a-Lago, giving, and we've said it before, use the euphemism that he's showing his cards. He went there and said, we have nothing, we'll dissolve, we need your money, we need your business, or we are essentially crippled. Whereas Danielle Smith went down there and made a strong argument for oil and gas. Notice that when Donald Trump put the tariffs in, only 10% went to Alberta oil and gas. Now, many people will say, well, that's because the U.S. is dependent on energy. They don't want to slam their own people. The tariffs were going to hurt both sides no matter what. This speaks volumes, especially when Trump's own people have said that Danielle coming down has made a significant difference to where Trump sees the tariffs moving forward, at least in Alberta. Let's continue with Jordan's assessment if he were Danielle.
Half of whose citizens consistently clamor to secede from the country while we impoverish ourselves for their benefit. The constant imposition of serious practical impediments from the federal and other provincial governments, hint, hint, British Columbia, to the international business deals and pipelines that would help Alberta bring its resources to market. Continual insult on top of such injury in the form of unbearable and naive moralizing about their superiority in conviction with regard to the sustainability of the planet. And to top it all off, the accusation that I, Danielle Smith, am not patriotic enough to start a trade war with my strange bedfellow in the name of a country whose very leaders proclaim both identitylessness and a multiculturalism that none of my citizens want.
Right there again, the point being made, go woke, go broke. Alberta again has been abused, not only by Ottawa, but by Justin Trudeau and the folks of Quebec, a province that says, we want your money, a government that says, we want your money, we're going to take your transfer payments, but anytime you want to make any progress, anytime you want to be better, we're going to shut it down because we have power. That's the problem, is that Alberta is at a point where we have people moving here, where we've got people looking for work, where we've got the potential to be so much more than we already are. Yet we hold back to remain Canadian at a time where the country doesn't even have its own identity, at a time where Justin Trudeau has broken Canada.
And Trump might well say, or perhaps is even saying right now, I think I could top that offer, Ms. Premier. Fine as it is. I could offer Albertans the American dollar, full access to our markets for their resources at full international price, lower costs on almost all manufactured goods and on food, lower taxes, both corporate and personal, membership in a country that prides itself on being a country and that does not plan to dissolve itself into an unstable multicultural mishmash, genuine admiration for your economic and industrial endeavors, along with a can-do, visionary, and deeply entrepreneurial culture, immediate, reliable, and guaranteed access to ports and pipelines, and full military defense. And if that's not enough, dear lady, no transfer payments. and the additional psychological advantage for Albertans in foregoing the perpetual and bullying Eastern Canadian attitude of grievance and moral superiority, emanating in particular from the Quebec, give us what we want forever or we'll leave, who also shamelessly disdains your dirty fossil fuel, such that they made the fracking Alberta's economy depends on literally illegal in their jurisdiction, just to make a point, while simultaneously accepting, and not with good grace, the filthy money so generated. What do you think?
So, right there, Peterson nails exactly what every Albertan, what a lot of common sense Canadians agree with. That Quebec is doing all of this as basically puffing out their chest. They just want dominance. They want to continue to be the head of the table, even though they're the largest have-not province in the country. Again, for anybody living there, please accept my humblest apologies. These are facts. And I'm not certainly, again, attacking the people of Quebec. I'm attacking their government and their poorly made bureaucracy and decisions. What Jordan Peterson's talking about here is that there are better deals to be made for other provinces. And while Alberta holds the key when it comes to its financial future, an offer from somebody like Donald Trump, who loves the deal, when Jordan Peterson lays out how this conversation could take place, who's to say that this conversation hasn't taken place yet? Who's to say that this conversation is not continuing to take place at this moment? The question I have for Albertans watching on this channel, or anybody from any other province who wished to live in Alberta with this opportunity. If Donald J. Trump were to present this opportunity to Danielle Smith, and she were to ask Albertans, we're going to have a vote. We are going to decide if we wish to become a part of America where we have open access to ports, where we have open access to pipelines. No more transfer payments. Where we're going to be dignifiedly treated with respect, I should say, where we're going to have patriotism again. I love my country just as much as the next guy. I love Canada. I've said many times, I will stand here and defend this country for as long as possible. But if the rest of the country that controls our elections, our electoral decisions, wants to constantly put its boot on our necks and stop us from having the ability to make a living for ourselves, to provide for ourselves, to have prosperity, when we have the cleanest and safest practices on the planet, at some point, the branch breaks and the tree needs to find another way to grow. Let me know what you guys think down below. Again, please go and watch Jordan Peterson's full video. It's absolutely enriching. It's a very good watch. It's very worth your time. Again, the video is called Canada Must Offer Alberta More Than Trump Could. I will have a link below, right below the video in the description. Make sure to click that link. Go show Dr. Peterson some love. Not that he needs the support. He's definitely got a lot more viewers than this channel. But it's an absolutely fantastic video. And I applaud him for saying what every Canadian is thinking, at least every common sense Canadian is thinking, and painting a picture that could possibly again be in the works. Do you believe that this conversation has already taken place and could have taken place while these representatives were all down at Mar-a-Lago? Let me know your thoughts on that as well down below in the comments. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure as you're hitting that button, hit your bell for notifications. Join me live here on the channel Friday night and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, our live streaming show, where I'm joined by my very beautiful wife, Mrs. Fringe, as we discuss everything that's happened this week in politics, everything coming up in the week ahead, as well as some back and forth within our most amazing community on the YouTube platform. Sorry, Dr. Peterson, they reside here. That being said, we hope to see you there this Friday, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, to hear what you have to say. We look very forward to hearing what you have to say each and every week. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.